Yo, alright, so you're here because you want to take some cool photos, like this one, or this one, or this one, or maybe even this. Well, if you are in the right place. Stay tuned. Unfortunately, if you're playing on console, this video is not for you. This is PC only. So, with that being said, let's get into it. First thing you want to do, you want to head over to Nexus mods, because we have to go ahead and download a bunch of stuff. Well, what stuff specifically? Requirements. So we're going to start with the things you need to have first. Cyber engine tweaks. This is going to control all the mods, the key bindings, all the overlays. To access the additional mods we're going to add, you need this mod. Go ahead and install it. It's very simple. Do a manual download. Take the downloaded file, copy the folders, paste them into your Cyberpunk directory. Next, we'll have codeware. This is important as well. Tweak Excel, another extender loader. Go ahead and download this. Next, we have Red4 extension, only one file. Download that. Archive Excel, go ahead and download the file. By the way, this is how you install things. So if you have Archive Excel installed, when you open the zip folder, you will have these two files. Go ahead and just copy, drag, and drop, and go ahead and hit replace if you have it. If you don't have it, it'll just install. If you already have a version that is older, go ahead and replace those old files with the new files, and you are good. This is how you're going to install all the other mods. It's very simple, very straightforward. Last thing we need is native settings UI. Go ahead and click the one file, do a manual download, copy the folders, slap them into your Cyberpunk folders, bing bam, bibbity bop, good. So those are the requirements. Now we need to get the mods that actually make photo mode dope. First, we'll start with PHOTOMODE Unlocker 2.0 XL. I know it's extra large, bitch. Okay, it adds extra features. There are 4 files for this. You only really need go ahead and download the main, and then go ahead and add the face fix for some facial rigging. Go ahead and download the rig patch face fix, and go ahead and download the unique rig patch as well. Do you need all of these? Probably not, but to cover all the other mods we're going to add, having these optional files fixing things that might be broken or incompatible off the bat is very smart. Once you have that installed, go to the next one, PMU Nibbles Unlocked. This will allow us to bring in nibbles into the photo mode. Why are we bringing this cat? Well, you'll see in a minute, but it's only one file. Go ahead and download the file, manual, drag and drop, boom, bam. Now, what about lighting? Not every scene in Cyberpunk gaming has perfect lighting. We want to control our light source. As a photographer, you want to control your spotlight, your key light, your fill light. This is the mod that allows you to add multiple light sources to the game. So go ahead and download Charlie. There are 2 different files. There is a light version and a full version. Go ahead and install the full version. Once again, manual download it, copy files, slap them into your game. Next, we want to install Appearance Menu Mod. Appearance Menu Mod allows you to do things you could never do before, like summon NPCs into the game, bring in decor, bring in furniture, bring in signs. Anything, any asset the game has, Appearance Menu Mod allows you to mess with it. It also allows you to change the clothing of certain characters to their alternate clothing options, which comes in real handy when we start doing photos. Go ahead and download this. There are 11 files. I'll show you the ones you need to download. Clearly, the main mod itself, you want to do the scenes pack. This will bring in additional scenes that we'll take a look at into the game. And that's about it. Everything else is to your discretion. Prop collision, I did download this to help with prop collisions. Subaru's clothing, everybody's clothing. These are optional files, but the most important is prop collision and the scene pack, and then obviously the mod itself. Manual download all 3, slap them into your Cyberpunk folder, we're good to go. Next, we need our path tracing. Now, how do we get beautifully lit properly true to life photos in Cyberpunk with this mod. This mod will turn all light sources into path trace rays so that when you bring in light, it is properly emitting off of surfaces and scattering and casting correct shadows in our photos. So there are 3 versions of this mod. Go ahead and download the first one, clearly the mod itself, and then go ahead and download the with hacks and the basic. Optional here, I did not install this. You don't have to, but you definitely want these 2 main files. Go ahead and install these 2, manual download, slap them in, boom, there you go. And then finally, we need to have the Nibbles to NPC 2.0 appearance mod add-on. What this is going to allow us to do is, notice how we brought in the mod to unlock Nibbles in photo mode. Well, instead of having Nibbles the cat, we can replace Nibbles as mesh with any NPC in the game. This mod allows us to do that. There are 5 folders. You only really need just one. The one that doesn't say broken, right here, manual, download, install. This is going to come in handy when you want to do a dual photo shoot. You want to do like a couple show, a photo shoot, whatever you want to do. If you want to just do a photo shoot of particular characters that are not V, this is the mod for that. So once you have those, these are the mods you need to actually make photo mode fun. Now, there are 3 additional types of mods you need to add, but these 3 types of mods are all based on your preference. The first are poses. Yes, people have created custom poses in Cyberpunk. So if you want to find any pose style, go ahead and look up poses in Nexus mod. All you got to do is just type in pose. A ton of poses will come up. People have created a bunch of these. Find the ones you like. Go ahead and download and install it. The installation is still the same. Find the pose you like folder, manual, drag it in. You're all set. This is all based on your taste. So whatever you want your characters to pose as is what you're going to download. I'll show you what I have in a minute, but this is how you find different poses. Second, we have black wall props. These are just props you can use inside of appearance menu mod to change the dynamic of the environment. If you played, Phantom Liberty, you know that at a certain point in the game, the background starts to go a little bit, interstellar, a little bit crazy, a little bit glitchy. You can create that glitch effect with this mod. There are other mods just like this, so find what you like. And then finally, locations. The Langley Military Base is a place where we only get to go once if you play a certain path in Phantom Liberty and never again. But here you can go back into the base and take photos inside of the med unit and outside in the garden. There are different mods for locations. Find locations you like that you want to use that are not in the game, download them, put them in your game. There you go. So to recap, you have your required mods: Cyber Engine Tweak, Codeware, Tweak XL, Red 4, Archive XL, native settings. Then you have your photo mode apps. You have, Photo Mode Unlocker 2.0 XL. You have Nibbles Unlocked. You have Charlie. You have Appearance Menu Mod. You have Path Trace Menu. And you have Nibbles to NPC Unlocked add-on. And then the different kinds are poses that you can find, different add-ons for props, and once again, different locations. Once you have all of these downloaded and installed, we can now move on to the game. Now, remember, before you launch the game, loading games in Cyberpunk is a little bit tricky. Some mods are RedModded, which means they need a different launcher to launch. The ones I showed you all are not RedMod mods, but you're going to run into this if you start modding your game and start doing photo mode mods, because sometimes clothing and props are RedModded. So to fix that, you want to go into your launcher for Cyberpunk. Right now I'm playing on GOG, so I'm going to go into my GOG launcher for Cyberpunk. I'm going to go into manage install. I'm going to go to configure. First thing, turn off auto update, because the mods you're using will not be updated the very second the game is modded or the game is updated, which means all your mods will break. So by unchecking auto update, you get to decide when you update your game and when you update your mods. Preferably, you want to update the game when the mods you're using and all its dependencies have been updated for the new mod, for the new patch, version. So uncheck that, go into features, scroll all the way down, click mods, enable mods, and then go over to DLC and make sure Cyberpunk 2077 RedMod has been checked. For those who are using or create RedMods that you install, they're same. The installation's the same. You drag it, you drop into a particular folder, it's the same. However, launching your game with RedMods installed is different. You do not want to use the exe shortcut on your desktop. You want to launch the game inside of the application launcher. So if you want your RedMods to launch correctly, definitely always launch it within the application. That being said, let's get into it. It's time to take some photos. All right, so now that we're inside the game, we're going to, before we start, do some housekeeping. First, go into settings. Inside settings, go all the way to graphics. Go ahead and go all the way down. Make sure you have path tracing in photo mode enabled. It's gonna come in handy. Now let's go into mods. You have a new folder called mods. Go into mods and you want to tab over. If you have too much mods like I do, you're gonna go a little bit more, but go until you get to path tracing BNR. Inside here are some settings. 1, gameplay. If you don't have a 4090, don't touch this settings. This ain't for you, dog. Photo mode. This is where we shine. You see, I'm playing a 3070 Ti. It has 8 gigs of RAM. Path tracing is not possible on this particular GPU. However, with this mod and the hack file that you downloaded, we can spoof our graphics card and the game to behave a little bit differently. So first, photo mode bounces. This is how much light bounces are going to be done. I usually leave it at 10. Photo mode rays, how many rays are emitted? 38 is a good, I think, 30, 35, 38, and don't go full max. If you have a high-end GPU, go ahead and max this out. But if you're on a 3070 Ti, anything within that range or comparable, 10, 35 is the nice sweet spot. Toggle photo mode off and on. Path tracing, if you didn't have it turned on in settings, this will override that and turn it on for you. But always have them both turned on because you never know. And then where it says hacks, the hacks file that you installed along with the initial path trace file, this allows us to spoof the game. So we can fake VRAM. So we can pretend we have 30 gigs of VRAM. We can force path trace on. We can fake the VRAM. So right now I'm pretending I have 30 gigs of VRAM. So this will help really render the images at a higher quality and not really, still hurt the performance of our game when we're doing regular gameplay. Ray construction, turn that on. Leave everything turned on. Number of samples, let's bring that down. I'm gonna do like about 16. I'm gonna do 17 sample images to kind of really layer that and get a thick, beautiful image. But yes, these are the settings. So 17, turn everything on. 30 gigs of fake VRAM. Everything else is on. Photo mode, 10 bounces, 35 rays. That is where I think the sweet spot is. You could probably play this yourself and find out your sweet spot. But for me and my graphics card, this is what we like. That being said, now we are good to go into an actual photo mode session. All right, so something you want to know about photo mode. Now that you have all these mods installed, there is something that will save you a lot of time, which is going over into your wardrobe and having a bunch of customized wardrobes already pre-made. The more wardrobes you have, the more clothing options you have, the easier your photo mode session is going to be, because what you're going to discover is that we can toggle between all of these outfits during photo mode sessions. We don't have to come out anymore and change clothing and then go back in. With these mods, you can change your outfits right on the spot, and we're going to be doing that within photo mode. So let's go ahead. Let's take a quick photo just here. Let's go against this window. Now remember, wherever you're facing is where your character will be facing when you enter photo mode. So I like to really just turn around and face my computer, my back to the window. And if you're playing with a controller, you enable photo mode by clicking the 2 thumbsticks in, and boom, you are in photo mode. So the outfit we were just looking at in wardrobe is now equipped, and we are in photo mode in our apartment. Now, if you had just first time installed Cyber Tweaks, you should have had a chance to bind the key of that particular mod to anything of your choosing. For me, I use a tilde. So whatever you have yours binded to, go ahead and press that. And when you do, you will get a menu of all these different things that you have on your game. So for me, I have a bunch of different mods running. That's why I have all these other menus. For you, you may not have all these other menus. You might just have Cyber Engine Tweaks and Appearance Mod, which is fine. You will discover more mods as you go if this is your first time really modding Cyberpunk. If it's not, these look familiar, let's move on. Click the right thumbstick to hide the photo mode menu for now. I want to get you a much cleaner look. And we want to just really focus right here on two mods, Charlie and Appearance Mod. Let's put Charlie over here for a second, and let's open up Appearance Mod. Now, with the nibbles replace NPC, we need to enable that first. So we need to go into Appearance Mod, Settings, Photo Mode Nibbles Replacer, and now you have a bunch of settings. Now, you don't know who the particular NPC is that you're going to replace nibbles with at first. You just know the gender type. There's the masculine and there's a feminine. So if you want a masculine character, let's say Johnny or Jackie to come in, you want to use a masculine archetype. If you want someone like So-Mi or Judy to come in, you want to use a feminine. Let's go ahead and just use the masculine for now. And usually when I choose a different one than what I was using prior, I like to always hit the reset replacer database, because you don't want it to confuse you and then you have to come out of photo mode and do it all over again. So just do the replacer and we are all set, okay? We'll come back to this in a second, but this is what we need to just have ready to go. So let's go ahead and just close out this menu with our binding, and let's bring back the menu for photo mode. And now let's go through these tabs, okay? First, we have camera. Your camera, there's a couple types. The drone is literally like a drone. You can just go around your character all the way around, high, low, whatever you want. Then we have the first person view, which is pretty much fixed to just your character's first person view. Next, we have presets. Customize is whatever you want to put that preset, that camera position at. It's all up to you. However, there are 9 different presets that the game gives you. I've never used any of this, but you can use it to kind of get an idea of where angles are. Like right here, this is a cool angle I would have not discovered if I had not just, fucked around real quick. So sometimes it's great to just see what angles you have available to you, and you can pick and choose when you want to use it. But for the most part, customization is where we want to live. Field of view, the further out you go, the wider the camera lens. So you can go to a wide angle fishbowl lens, or you can come real close to a micro telescopic view of your character's detail. Detail in this game is really beautiful, and you can even read the numbers on the jacket, on the flank. But rotation, you can rotate the screen if you want to shoot a vertical shot, or you can bring it back, askew a little bit, or like a little Dutch angle if you want to shoot a Dutch angle shot, or you can just bring it back to center and have it right on the horizontal. Now let's go to depth of field. Here is controls how blurry the background pretty much is. If you have it enabled, background is blurry, your character is in focus, it has a real cinematic feel to it. If you turn it off, everything is in sharp focus, and there's no real depth in your images. But for some things, you do want to have it turned off. If you turn it on, you have autofocus turned on for you, and you have your aperture. Aperture basically determines how blurry the background is compared to what it is prior. So if you want to bring in somewhat of a balance between slightly blurry background, but still separation between character and background, you can mess around with the aperture and get that down. For the most part, I like to keep the aperture, a little bit in the 30s to kind of give our character that nice separation and more of a cinematic feel. If you don't want to use autofocus, you can always turn autofocus off, and then you can decide to focus the camera yourself. And with this, you can decide where your focal point is, where and what you want in focus. So if you want your character to be blurry, but the background in sharp focus, you can, or vice versa. It's up to you. Now, poses. Poses, poses, poses. This is where it gets a little bit fun. So now on characters, we have V, we have replacer, and we have replacer visible, off, and on. We'll get to that in a second, but let's go through the V stuff first. So you can turn, if you just want to shoot this background without V in the way, hide V, bring him back, hide him, bring it back. Cool magic trick, bro. Now, the outfits I was telling you about, if you have pre-created outfits in your wardrobe, you can change them right inside this menu. You don't have to go out of the menu to change your clothing. You can literally change clothing right in the menus and you'll be all set. So you can take multiple photos of multiple outfits, all with the same lighting, same location, same pose, and see which one really works for you. All right. And now for the poses itself. Remember, the game comes with 2 poses. There's idle and then there's action. That's kind of boring. If you want it and you have downloaded more poses, they will be in the category section. So for me, I have classic poses from statues. We have the John Wick pack. We have the sharply dressed man poses, the silver hand poses, sitting and leaning, so me poses, custom poses. So this is the same pose setup, but without the prop. We have some Merc Life stuff. This is just a lot of different poses. Like I said, this is kind of based on what you want to shoot and what you want your character to look like while you're shooting. So you can determine and download what you want. And then once you do that, obviously you change the poses by using the pose button. Expression. The game came with usually neutral, calm, fury, boredom, anger, satisfaction, disgust, happiness, fear, surprise, sadness, and whistling was normally the last one. But with the power of modding, we have even more expressions. So if you want to download some expressions, you can. We got a wink. They're all very subtle, but it's definitely adds a lot to the photo when you find the one that you like. So go ahead and mess around with your expressions. If you want to find expressions, go into Nexus mods, type in expressions, and you should find a bunch of user-created expression mods to use. Once again, now we have look at camera. Normally, if you have it turned off, V just looks in one particular direction. If you have it turned on, he turns and faces the camera. Anywhere the camera goes, V goes with it. So you can discover different angles, different positions, all based on V turning his head. And then rotation, you can obviously just rotate him a full 360 if you want. He will still keep trying to look at the camera. You can do left and right. You know these movements by now. These are just basic movements. Effects on exposure, contrast, highlight. I like shooting, if you notice my photos, I really like shooting dark backgrounds. Doesn't matter how light the background is. I like to have the background as dark as possible and have our character the main focus. To do that, I bring exposure all the way down and I increase my contrast, which makes the darks darker. Exposure reduces how much light comes in. Contrast is how dark the darks is. And then the highlights, just so that the lights aren't as blown out, I bring the highlights all the way down. Now, you're saying, man, we can't see V at all. Well, this is where the Charlie mod we installed comes into play. Go ahead and activate your key binding and let's go over to Charlie and let's open up Charlie. Inside Charlie, we have a bunch of different light sources and styles. Okay. You have spotlight, entropy, industry, you have light blockers, you have all of these. What I prefer to use a lot is usually entropy. What happens here is that we have this light source now turned on. That purple icon is showing you where the light is being cast to. You can use the ring distance to move the light away or closer based on your preference. And then you can use the ring rotation to move the light around V. So if you were to move this out of the way, you would notice as we move the light around, different parts of V is illuminated and lit. And depending on what kind of mood of a photo you're trying to go for, you can bring in V into this setting. real quick, if you are trying to take this particular photo right now and you don't want the purple icon and the light in the way, go ahead and click the marker, show and hide. It will hide the marker, and then go ahead and for meshes, show and hide, it will hide the light source. So there you go. There is a lit photo. Clearly there's too much light bleeding right here, so we're not going to keep this as the image itself, but just want to show you where you can put the light source. So something like this definitely would help. Let's move that light just a little bit further away. If the light is too intense, we can bring the light down just a little bit, and we can increase it down here if we want to. So these are all up to you, how you want to light your particular scene. I, for one, like to light things just a little bit more. Let's bring back the light here so you can see it. I like to kind of light things from an angle. And I like to do another one. So if you like where this light source is, but you want to have another similar light source, just use the duplicate key. It will give you a second version of this light that you can now rotate, and you can light from a different angle. So there you go. So if you want to light V like this, you can now hide this, and now you have a well lit angle. Now, if you notice, there's still this light bleed right here that we can get rid of. If you wanted to, let's try to bring in a light blocker, and the light blocker, let's see if we can use it to block out that particular light. It's not really working, so let's just forget about it. Okay, so let's say we like the way this is lit for now, and we want to take this photo, bring back your photo mode, go ahead and hide your key bindings, and you can either crop in just a little bit into V. One thing you'll notice is that I do have a mod that reflects V into glass surfaces, but also PHOTOMODE does it for you too. So next, we're going to go ahead and just work on our photo just a little bit. We're going to work on our focal length, our focal distance, kind of get V in frame and well lit, and just make sure he is sharply focused on. I'm going to bring a little bit of that background blur, a little bit more blurriness in the background because we want V to really pop. And then a rule in photography, these guidelines you're seeing, these grid lines, wherever they intersect, that is where a point of interest should be made. So if you want people to focus on your photo, make sure that wherever these grid lines are crossing and meeting, it's where something of importance in your photo is. So for me, I want you to focus on V and V only. So we're making sure that we're using the rule of thirds. So 1/3 of the image is pretty much V, and it's dead center on V. So when you take this photo, you'll have a nice visual of V, well lit, but proportional to the composition of the photo. Remember, these are guidelines, they're not rules. Sometimes a photo just looks good, but it doesn't fit the guidelines. That's totally fine. You can still take a photo, but for the most part, learn what the rules are for photography so you don't have to make dumb mistakes and your composition will look good. All right, now that we have our pose and everything figured out and set, we're gonna go ahead and hit X. And when you hit X, the game will start to process all of the light bounces and path tracing and all that jazz. If your game keeps crashing at this point, what you should do is reduce some of your bounce lights, and also go into settings and disable path tracing under graphics. If you're not getting your photos created, disable path tracing in your settings, but leave it on in your mods settings for photo mode path tracing. Okay, so this is how our picture turned out. Pretty dope, right? For what you see here to what it turned out to be, legit coolest thing in this game is taking what a 3070 Ti was showing on screen to what it outputs as a screenshot. Now let's go a little more advanced. Now let's go ahead and add a second person into this. So we've already set up our settings for a masculine character, and we now have our mod for replacer of nibbles on. So we're gonna go ahead and turn this on, and when we do, we get Mr. Hands. He is the default for all of the masculine characters. So when you first turn on replace, Mr. Hands shows up, but he is not the only person we can use, because let's go ahead and hide photo mode. Let's bring up cyber tweaks, and let's go ahead and hide Charlie, and let's bring up appearance mod, because this is where it gets fun, because we've already set our nibbles thing already, right? Now go to scan. In scan, you see that little yellow marker in the center here? Let's move that over to Mr. Ham. Bam, you see? Once you highlight a character, you get this mod, you get this list of characters. And all of these characters we can swap Mr. Hands with. So let's say we want to do a Saburo Arasaka instead. There's Saburo Arasaka. You want to do Roland? There he is. Buy some stuff, man. You want to do, I don't know, Carrie? Let's do Carrie. Let's do a young Carrie. Boom. There you go. You can literally summon any character, and when you bring in the character, you have all these different configurations of them. So you can bring an even younger Carrie. Like if you want to do like a Carrie like trilogy of characters, you can do a Carrie, a young Carrie, and then you can do the 2 years later Carrie. This is dope. This is why photo mode in Cyberpunk with mods is so cool, because now not only do we have Carrie here, let's go ahead and hide the menu. Let's bring back the menus for photo mode, but all the things we could do to V in terms of posing, we can do to Carrie. So now we can change the pose pack Carrie is on. We can literally pose Carrie any way we want. And depending on what kind of mods you have installed, these will basically Carrie is going off of your mods. So whatever mods you have installed, he will go ahead and take hold. Let's go. I like this right here. Let's just, for the sake of this photo mode tutorial, let's just bring him in. Be careful of clipping. Let's go ahead and turn him a little bit. Let's have him look at the camera as well. And let's move him in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and hide this so you can take a look. But there you go. Now you have Carrie and V dripped out looking at the camera. I mean, this is what makes Cyberpunk on PC so dope. Like, you literally have something that you couldn't do this anywhere else. You got them both lit. You got them looking dope. The background is nice. Let's go ahead and just hit X. Let's process this photo. And there you go. This is how you take a photo with two NPCs. So not only can you change your costume and your clothing and your poses, but you can also summon another character, change all of their poses, and you now have a two-person photo that you couldn't do any other way. Now, let's go a little bit more advanced. Let's get a little bit advanced, okay? Let's go one step further. We want to add some... this is just funny. This is funny as hell. So you have that, but let's go to decor. So inside of decor, we can bring in additional things. We can bring in neon signs like the Afterlife logo. Once we have the Afterlife logo, we can do a couple things to it. We can bring the cursor onto it. We can target this, and we can then bring the... So sometimes when you bring in an asset, you will get the target tools as well to come up. The target tools allow you to move that particular item around, move it up and down, left and right. And then also it allows you to rotate that particular item. So if you wanted to rotate this Afterlife logo that we just brought in, we can bring it all the way around, and there is an Afterlife logo. Go ahead and despawn this. Let's find something cooler. Let's go ahead and despawn. And honestly, a lot of these things you're going to have to play around with to get an idea of what you're really doing. But the more you play around, the more you find out. And the more you find out, well, the more you got to play around. So let's say you wanted to have this bonsai hologram in your photo. You just bring it in, you use the tool targets to move it around, and you hide your menus, and you have a whole new photo that you can now work through. Is this cool? Maybe not, but these are just the things you can do. Now let's go one step further. Let's do a whole location change. Okay, so one, we have the decor we can do, but now we can do one step further. We can go to tools, and we can go time of day. We can completely change our time of day because lighting is key, and sometimes whatever the time of day is very important. Well, also we can change our weather. So if you want the weather to be different, we can do a much more background of a toxic sky. This is if you're actually outside. Change Medical Center and Somi's Brooklyn apartment are two places that I have installed. So let's go to Langley Medical Center. Once you select that, go ahead and click teleport to location. It will now load the location for you. So here we are. We are inside the Langley place where if you play a certain path in Phantom Liberty, you end up here with a certain someone talking about certain stuff. So now that we're here, let's go ahead and set up our situation here. Lighting is kind of trash, so let's go ahead and change that first. Let's go down to time of day. Let's make it daytime. Let's make it let's do a default day, no rain. All right, so now we have our interior lit by default. There is a nice visual outside, and we have the bed here. Now let's go ahead and create that visual. So let's jump on the bed. If you're going to do any sort of positioning, sometimes it's good to just jump on the item itself, but since we can't, let's go ahead and just enter photo mode, and let's switch to a more fitting attire here. By the way, yes, I have a pimp outfit. Yes, this is the Pimp V outfit. NUSA. Let's use this as our model for now. And for our pose, I like this pose. Let's go ahead and move it to the left. Let's get him on the bed. So you notice how when you go too far, he jumps up. The way to fix this is to bring up appearance mod again. And we want to focus on V, and let's go into tools, close target, open target. Let's see if we can get, sometimes the target tools doesn't always show up right away. You kind of have to bait it into showing up. There we go. Go back into tools, go to target. There you go. So sometimes if you're not getting the target tools to show up, go to scan and lock V, and then go back into tools, and target tools should show up. Now you can freely move V as you want without the game jumping or clipping. So there we go. Now we can place V squarely on the bed. That's perfect. And when you're done and you want to make all these directional things disappear, go ahead and just unlock V itself. So here we have V sitting in what appears to be a medical bay. He is smoking a cigarette, but one thing I noticed, his feet isn't touching the ground. So let's go ahead and go back into, there you go. And now we have contact with the ground. It looks good. I like it. And now we can play around with our lighting. Go ahead and let's take a look at some, there we go. I want to get a real sad boy vibes in this, okay? Real sad boy vibes. Let's zoom in. Let's come out. There we go. I'm starting to like this. Is looking good. Let's come punch out just a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right. So now we got our position. We have V. We're using our guides to really focus right on that bicep of his, because we wanted you to kind of follow that arm to see what he's holding. And now we're going to work on our aperture, our focal point. We want that cigarette to be something that you focus on. There you go. So now the cigarette is in view. We know he's in the hospital, but he's also smoking a cigarette. Let's go ahead and now work on our effects. Let's bring our lighting down just a little bit. Because remember, I like to take these photos a little bit more of a darkened feel and an atmosphere. So let's go back into, let's bring back Charlie. Let's spawn an industrial light. Let's spin this light around. Let's increase the, there we go. That is looking good. Now let's bring this light down just a tad. It's a little too, there we go, but not too far where, let's go a little bit higher. I want to get that hat. I want the hat to cast a shadow over the glasses, but not too much so you don't miss out on the frame. But there we go. Now we have what we're looking for. Let's go ahead and hide the lights, so to speak. And now one thing we can do, the last thing we can do if we want to add a little bit more flair to this, let's go ahead and go back into appearance mod. Let's go back into decor. Let's go down to effects. Let's bring this up a little bit. There's one thing about this that kind of sucks is that you can't always get the menu to fully fill. But we're looking for smoke. You want to get some cigarette smoke. And I wish I knew where it went. Let's go ahead and just spawn this. Let's find something bigger. We're looking for some smoke. And we brought it in, but we can't find it, which sometimes a bit of annoyance is that you'll bring certain items in, but since they're so small or they're so light, you can't really see them. So we're going to just despawn the smoke. We don't need the smoke for now. Let's go ahead and just take the photo. This is the photo as we looked at it on our screen. This is what the photo looks like once it's fully rendered. All right, so there you have it. This is how you take photos in Cyberpunk, and not just any kind of photos, epic, moody, graphic, and really just scene stealing photos that you normally couldn't do in base vanilla Cyberpunk. If you like this content, go ahead and like and subscribe. If you want me to do even more photos or you want to see more of my photos, let me know. I'll do a part 2, volume 2 photo dump when I have enough photos that I like, and we can just compare. If you have your own photos, shoot me a link in the comments to where your photos are, and I'll definitely check them out and leave you a comment. Until then, have fun, go be creative. And remember, download all the expressions, all the poses you want. It's gonna work, it's gonna make your photos look dope, and I can't wait to see what you guys create on your end. Until then, see ya, peace.